Ladies and gentlemen, today's opponents on Man versus Train. At the crossing, we have Rick, a 175-pound frustrated man who's running late for work. And on the tracks, we have Bull, a 1,000,000-pound freight train that takes a mile to stop. Let's see who comes out on top.
You can't beat a train, so don't try. Stop. Trains can't. Paid for by NHTSA.
Coming to you from UBN Studios in Burbank, California. You're listening to the Unsugarcoated Podcast with your host, Ollie Alanius.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Unsugarcoated with Alia. I am so happy to be here with you, not on you. Hopefully I'm not on you. Well, maybe I'm in your ears and I'm on you, but I don't know. Just kidding. Anyway, so happy to be here with you. I actually have some amazing guests. We're going to be talking about business today. What does it take? What does it look like for some other individuals? And one of the reasons that's actually an important topic to me, because I feel that when we talk about surviving trauma and a lot of stuff, a lot of us have to figure out how we take, and I'm going to be really candid, how do we take our kind of broken pieces at times and bring them all together so that we can figure out what we want to do in life. And for some people, finding a job is the best thing that you could do for yourself. And then there's these other people in the world that don't function well unless they are operating a business or pursuing their entrepreneurial dream. Different types of entrepreneurs out there, by the way. There's social, there's the entrepreneur that's driving an Uber, and then there's the entrepreneur that's managing 31 companies, or the 31 locations with several hundred employees, which I have actually done that in my life as well. So it's important for me that people know how to operate businesses. That empowers you when you maybe have an idea and then you just don't know how to go about it. So I'm very thankful to have friends who have been through a lot of these different processes and have their own powerful stories. And we're going to get to that. But also in the vein of talking about business, for me, I want to share, we just recently came back from the Venice Film Festival. I'm so excited. I love looking. It's funny, I have to be candid. I'm looking at pictures of J-Lo and other people on the red carpet in Venice. And I'm like, oh, I was just there last week. How nice. I missed if you missed it, we have a video to show you and a couple pictures of my recent trip to Italy with my husband, the amazing film producer. He recently executive produced The Card Counter with Tiffany Haddish, Oscar Isaac, Paul Schrader was the director, and Ty Sheridan was in it as well. So it was just an incredible experience, you guys. And in the vein of business, I want you to know that anyone looking at our lives should know that it doesn't come easy. It doesn't just come overnight. And the reality is a lot of people look at us at where we're at, or like I shared, we were in Venice and then we drove to Torino. He has a film that's filming out there. Henry Golding is in it. He has another film that's coming out too with Sigourney Weaver and things like that. And of course, there's what I'm doing as well with Unsugarcoated Media. But my point is, it hasn't been easy. And my husband was once a server at Four Seasons. Like, you guys need to understand that if we can do it, so can you if you want to. But don't be deceived by how good it looks now, and then not appreciating or understanding that it's been a journey to get there. But I'm honored to share it with you, and I hope that it inspires you to think about what you could be capable of. So with that, I'm going to get to my friends because I really want you to hear their story and be inspired by them as well. Kate and Daniel Robbins are a power couple that you need to be familiar with if you're not already. Kate is the founder of the award-winning Spa OC Facial Center, boutique hotel brand Betana Paraiso, and IBH Media, a tech and real estate investor who was named as one of the 100 most influential Filipina in the world. A proud mother of two, she's been featured in Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Huffington Post, BuzzFeed, and Modern Luxury magazine. With her husband, Daniel Robbins, they are taking the world and Clubhouse, the hot new social media app, by storm. Daniel dropped out of college at 20, and now he utilizes his almost 20 years in leadership and 5 years in consulting to bring inspiration and help entrepreneurs gain authority and reputation in Google search through media, features, and interviews. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kate Hancock and Daniel Robbins.
So honored to be here.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you both for being here. Okay, so we have to tell the world this. Technically, you were here before. Now you're talking to us from the OC, but this is exactly to my point. What in business ever goes right? Right, guys? So we did a dress rehearsal before. We didn't know, but we did a dress rehearsal. A technical issue now has us re-recording. So I love it. Kate, I want to start with you. Tell our audience where you're talking to us from, and if you would just kind of give a brief intro on what you've kind of experienced in business, or what's brought you to the point where you're inspired to help other entrepreneurs.
Hi everyone, my name is Kate Hancock. Alia, what amazing intro. Thank you so much. Again, it's such an honor being here. Well, I actually I grew up in the Philippines really not having much, and I started selling stuff online to Amazon with my $20 capital. I scaled it to $1 million after a year, and I sold 8-figure e-commerce business after 4 years. And, as an entrepreneur, you go through ups and downs. It's definitely a roller coaster ride. And sometimes you win, sometimes you don't have it. Just like COVID last year, what it did to our businesses. We have a brick and mortar store in California, which shut down. And our hotel business in the Philippines still shut down right now. So we understand, Dan and I understand how it is being an entrepreneur. And you need to have that sense of community. And that's the reason why it really aligns with our purpose in life. And that is to inspire 100 million entrepreneurs in the world.
I love that. And, Dan, your amazing husband and co-founder, I would love for you to say hi and talk about how it's been. We'll go into some of your background, but, for you both are very passionate about helping other entrepreneurs. When it comes to business, what's been some of the biggest challenges you've seen entrepreneurs face or heard about? Because we're talking about Clubhouse, and I know what you guys have done there. We'll get into all of that. I know I'm kind of but what is one of the biggest challenges, or what are a couple of biggest challenges you've seen over the past year that you've learned about?
Yeah, so I think for me, and what we see constant questions that come up, it's really around, like Kate had mentioned, they just don't know anyone else. And if you don't know anyone that's doing something that you want to do, you really don't know how to do it. And you don't even know how to go to get resources to figure out. Because the truth is, anyone could launch a business in the US. You could file for an LLC. Now you have a business. You're a business owner. But how do you know how to market your product? How do you know the right fit? How do you know how to hire people? Do you have enough money? I mean, there's so many reasons why businesses fail, and majority will fail, right, within the first 5 years. And I think a lot of people just don't have the resources and the community. They don't have the people. They don't know anyone else. You talk to your family member, hey, my business is challenging. Your family member said, why don't you just go get a job? I think that's common. So I think you really need to know other people that are in the same situation so you can really actively share with each other what you're going through. And that's why people say it's a lonely place. I think there's a lot of mental health with entrepreneurs that's rarely talked about. But I think it really is a big issue, and people just they don't want to talk about it, so they just close up their business and they move on. I think that we're seeing this a lot. People just don't know what they you only know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know, and that's where the issues arise.
So to you, really quick, Dan, what was the moment that you knew you were an entrepreneur? Because I feel like that's a significant moment.
Yeah, I don't even know if I am a great entrepreneur, to be honest. I think
you're married to one, right? You're definitely married to one.
Kate is a great entrepreneur. So we recently did this test from somebody, an amazing author, and I laughed. I told him, hey, I failed your test, even though it was not even pass or fail. It was just a way to know if you are an entrepreneur or not. It's kind of a fun thing. And he said, it's okay because your partner, your wife, she's an entrepreneur. I said, fantastic. She's a great entrepreneur. I struggle with anxiety. I struggle with fear. There's a lot of things that block. And by myself alone, I don't think I make up a good entrepreneur, but I'm really honest and open about that. I think some people are built for it. I really do think that, yes, you can learn how to do things, but it's either within you or it's not. You're either born with the traits or you're not. And if you're not like me, then it's good to just find someone who is. And I think you can make a great partnership.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Kate, for you, so you've had definitely the path of an entrepreneur. You said you kind of had some early struggles too. What was that moment that you decided and you said, I'm an entrepreneur?
Well, Alia, when I was a kid, my aunt actually forced me to sell pastries when I was in early. I think I was in grade 6. We call it grade 6 in the Philippines. But I remember my very first, I was so embarrassed to sell that pastry. I tried to hide when my friends would see me in the market. But I remember I was selling like street foods, and I was selling t-shirts. I was doing a lot of product arbitrage while going to college. I would flip cell phone and I changed the packaging and I would resell it to some of my family employee and to my uncles. So I've been hustling. And I remember I would even make this fake flowers like made of cloth for Valentine's Day, and I would make money, and I get excited every time I make a sale. So I guess I'm an entrepreneur because I'm creating opportunity and solving a problem. So I think that's the definition of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I like that you brought that up because that's super important. Not everyone understands what an entrepreneur is. And like I said, you could be the guy driving an Uber, or you could also be really legitimately running a multi-million-dollar company. And what do you guys think about, like, I mean, both of them deserve credit, right? But I mean, you guys have now, so a couple things I want the audience to know. So Clubhouse, the hot social media app that a lot of people have gotten on, it's incredible, has been a place, a platform for people to come and just share knowledge. Kate, maybe you would actually do us a great service and give your interpretation of what Clubhouse has been right now during the pandemic, and especially for you guys as you are on this journey to help. Because I've sat in rooms with you and heard people come in and say, I'm so thankful for this knowledge. I would have to pay thousands of dollars to get this knowledge, but I'm getting it for free right here. So yeah, can you share with us your perspective and how it got started and what you've seen and where you guys are taking it?
Yes, absolutely. So we actually started last year, December 12, 2020, out of boredom, being shut down here in California. So that's the first day we joined Clubhouse, and we know nothing about it. And Christmas Day, we started, Dan and I, it's like, we have nothing else to do, so why don't we create a room? And our very first room the title is What It Takes to Run a $1 Million Business, because we have a bunch of friends that run a multi-million-dollar businesses. So I said, Dan, well, we were not going to have a hard time finding speakers because we have a lot of friends in our community, right? And we ended up building a marathon room, which lasted for 21 days. And recently we did it again. So what we've been doing is basically helping entrepreneurs, giving them advice, what's their next strategy, how to market their product, how to get cash flow, pretty much everything you ask as an entrepreneur, or how to move your products to the marketplace. So that's what we've been doing. It's fascinating is a lot of the successful entrepreneur, they're willing to give their time as a give back for being lucky or being blessed of running businesses. So it is truly inspiring, and that really aligns with our why, as I mentioned earlier, and that is to inspire 100 million entrepreneurs. And it just elevated the figures to Dan and I's goal. So it's been an amazing journey. And if it's not because of that social audio app, I would have met Alia, and now she's one of my close friends. So it strengthened friendships. I mean, it just helped us really hone as a leader, and I've grown so much as a leader, as a person, and as an entrepreneur, just hearing expert advice from different walks of entrepreneurs, different stages, different cultures, and level of expertise. So that was our experience in Clubhouse.
Dan, you guys, I love that. And actually, I'll back up. Sorry. January 15th is my date. And the first night I ended up in your guys' room. I feel like this is a date. This is our anniversary. Okay. This is like January 15th. We got to put it on the books next year. We got to do so. It's like, I genuinely feel like this date it represents something so incredibly special to me. because when I was able to go in there, and yeah, I mean, I'm a person with a lot of knowledge and I'm happy to share it. I mean, hence the podcast and bring in my friends. So I know exactly what you're doing in that room. You guys are so welcoming. I genuinely love you guys. Yes. For anybody who's thinking, do I like my guests? Yes. These ones I know, these ones I love, these ones I love to hang out with. We've traveled, like I've gone to New York, I've gone to Vegas, because that's the thing. You guys are taking it off the app. But you guys, on top of that, you have a mastermind, but you've also been bringing in these incredible speakers. Dan, what is your process as you guys go through this? You know, and we're going to get to some questions that are really on the subject of building a business and your guys' experiences. But I really want people to know that there are places you can go and find this information. And you guys curate an amazing experience, very high caliber guests. What's your process when you're selecting somebody that you want to not only bring, because that 85 days marathon, Kate, how many people went through your room?
That's 810,000 entrepreneurs globally. That's fascinating. Like, you'll never be in one stadium room that many people.
Exactly. So that's nearly 1 million people that you are talking to. So Dan, when you bring people and you're curating these speakers, what is your process?
Yeah, no, it's really incredible. Sometimes you got to pinch yourself because you're like, is this even real? And Kate and I, we never wanted to be famous, and we're not famous, and would never want to be famous. But I think it's great that we're helping other people, get following, get notoriety, because there's so many great people out there. They just don't know how. But going to your question, it's tough because every time we have an amazing guest, we then feel like we need to get, at the same level, if not even more amazing, right? And every guest is incredible. So I think at first we tapped into who the people that we know and the network that we have. So who are the people that right now in business are very well known or experts in their field? Some of them are very well known, some are less known, but they're like the top of the top. So I think we started there, and we started getting them to come in. For example, like Jeff Hoffman from Priceline, speaks all the time. He has $3 billion companies. So that was, one of the first guests on our newer marathon. The first marathon was, we had a lot of marketing, we had a lot of people on TV. So now what we're doing is we're just tapping into the business and really going after who are the top of the top in their game. And that's really been something that's been very helpful. Of course, some people take, we have one guest, he's going to be on at the end of this month, that he founded Reebok. He took about 3 months time frame till he's actually going to come on. So it's not always that these people we were talking to them in order, but some people, as you know, it takes a long time to get them on your show. So we're constantly, yesterday alone, I had conversations with 5 different people who are going to be incredible guests. And I don't know when they're going to actually show up, because that's what we have to do. You have to constantly be nurturing with guests. And the other thing is we also get incredible people that come in because they're friends of people. And so that's been a huge one too. So when I see them come in, I immediately send them a message and invite them on the show. And they love that because their friend is there and they know how it is, and they trust the environment. Mm-hmm. So I know I threw a lot at you, but I think there's different ways to approach it. And that's the only way you're going to win long-term, because obviously, there's 52 weeks in a year. As you know, filling up 52 guests, we try and do at least once a week. It is, it's a feat, and it takes time.
It does. It does. Oh, go ahead, Kate.
Yes. Well, it doesn't happen overnight. I think I have to say it took me 5 years to build my personal brand, and I was able to build relationship with a lot of the successful entrepreneurs. So when I bring them in on Clubhouse, that automatically elevate the level of the community, the room, who's in there. And I have to say the very first marathon really gave us a big boost, because we were the popular room early on in Clubhouse without having the entrepreneur category on the app. So we were the first one to curate that environment. And in that sense, We have Grant Cardone, Ty Lopez, Les Brown, Damon John was hanging out in the room. So when you have these people coming in and out in the room and swear by that we curate an organized room that really elevates our brand, and it's easier for us to invite other people because they've seen who's in that stage. So that really helps us a lot. But definitely it takes a lot of curated move how to really convince speakers, especially you ask them to speak for free. Normally they have a high ticket fee of $100,000 upwards for an hour. So it was truly an amazing, I feel like it's a challenge, it's a game, but it's very exciting for us. I mean, Dan does a lot of that work of behind the scene.
But I love how everything that you guys are talking about still goes into the process of running any business, right? I mean, like, Dan, you're talking about feeding the pipeline. In order to have a successful business, you have to keep things going. You have to feed the pipeline for customers, for marketing, right? Kate, you just brought up personal branding, right? These are things that a lot of people don't realize. I didn't realize I was personal branding for a lot longer before. Then I was doing it long before I understood what I was doing, right? Like, just like you were talking about the entrepreneur, like one day I'm like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, shoot, because I've been creating opportunity for myself and things like that. But kind of going back to the basics of business. We have a culture right now where a lot of people just resigned from their jobs. The great resignation, right? A lot of people are saying, screw working for someone else. I want more control, or I'm going to go start a business. For either of you, when somebody does that, and again, going to the whole, we know not a lot of businesses actually survive the first 3 years, let alone 5. What are some of the things that you guys feel are the first steps people should be looking at, considering once they say, I want to start a business?
Wow, it's a lot of people just jump into that river without having any kind of life support, right? But that's the entrepreneurial journey. But do you have the bandwidth to take that stress and to, uplift yourself to the next level? I have to say, if you're currently working right now and planning to be an entrepreneur, figure out, you make sure you have 2 years of money, because you're not going to make money in 2 and 3 years of running a business. 3, are you really built in as an entrepreneur? Can you handle stress? Can you handle that roller coaster of one day you're making a sale and the next month it's cricket time? And D, do you have what it takes to lead and manage people? How do you handle your emotional stress? Do you have really the brain to strategize all the time? Because in reality, if you're a solo entrepreneur, you're going to be wearing different hats. Do you really have what it takes? Sometimes people think they have that talent of one angle, but you have to say your job as an entrepreneur, as a solo entrepreneur, especially in early stage, that requires you 200 different hats.
Yeah, agreed. Dan?
Yeah, always love what Kate has to say. I think the only thing I would add on there would be having a product that actually the market wants. I feel like a lot of people, and we hear this a lot, they say they have this idea and nobody else really cares about it, or their idea is brand new, but actually it's already being done. So I don't think they've done enough research or even testing in the market. Kate is so good about doing a test, see if the market responds, and if they do, going forward, if not, moving on to something else. I think a lot of people, they get caught like, I have this great invention, I have this great idea because I want it. And then they go and find out that, 5 other people want it, but that's it. And they put all this money, they put all their savings, they've taken money from their home. Sometimes it's quite scary, the lengths that people go before actually testing the market to see if it's a fit, or even learning about what did they even do with that product. They spend a lot of time creating a product, but not enough time learning, is it a fit, and how do I even bring it to market?
Yeah. And I love, you may not be an entrepreneur, but you're incredibly wise and smart. And I know that you speak on these topics very well. I love always hearing you talk on it. So you guys started this mastermind, and I want you guys to share about that, because this is the next level, right? And I want to say and remind the audience, listen, I can feed you for a day, or I can teach you how to fish, and you will eat forever, right? I mean, this saying is something that I love and appreciate because it's so true. People ask me for help, and I'm like, okay, if I'm just helping you solve one problem, I'm not really helping you. But if I can teach you to be self-sustainable on your own or take your business to the next level. So you guys started a mastermind that's incredible. And I really, would love for you to share how that is helping your own network take it further and better, and also like vibe off of each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Our mastermind is for anyone who runs under $1 million business. Our goal is to make you over $1 million, and you need that tools and trainings as far as how to scale your business and how to make you as a better person as an entrepreneur. So we do have a forum, which is it's kind of like a secret community, Alia, that's hard to explain, because it is really a peer-to-peer learning where everyone's sharing about your experience as far as how you tackle this issue, whether it's hiring issue or cash flow issue, but you're not giving advice. So a lot of successful billionaire or 9-figure businesses swear by being in a forum, because it kind of have, if you think about it, you're talking something and there's someone that can mirror you. Oh, this is what works for me. So it's a whole new different level. And this is the first time that we open this kind of opportunity to anyone under $1 million of revenue. Dan?
Yeah, exactly. It's like having an advisory board for your company, which is how big companies win, right? They have advisory boards. They have people they can go to with challenges. But solopreneurs, entrepreneurs in the beginning, they have nobody. Even like he was saying, even up to that $1 million mark, you might not even have a big team. You might not have anybody that that's in it. And when you go through challenges, you're just scrambling, trying to figure it out. So it's like you have your own advisory board, but they don't tell you what to do. They speak from their experience, which I think is more powerful, because you listen more when it's coming from somebody's experience than when somebody else is telling you what you should actually be doing, on top of the education that we provide content. And it's us facilitating with experts. It's not Kate and I teaching. It's bringing in experts, bringing in companies to actually help, to teach it to the people. And this is proven stuff that Kate and I have gone through, and millions of others have used around the world. So we know it works.
I think, Alia, back to our story, it was on the day of our wedding in 2018 when I lost my e-commerce business. I was selling really good in e-commerce, and Amazon shut down my account. And if it's not because of being part of the mastermind, I don't think I will get a chance to get up myself. I was laying in bed for the first 90 days because I don't want to get up. I was even thinking of filing bankruptcy. That's all I could think of. I really wanted to give up. But when I was talking to my forum mate in a mastermind, they said, well, you have options. It's not the end of the world. But if you're going through that darkness, you can't see the lights. You just want to be negative because you're so miserable. So I have to thank the community. And that's how being around with high-driven entrepreneurs is so important, because that motivates you, especially in dark times. And that's, one of the positive of being in a mastermind.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the networking is so important too. You are the average of the 5 people you spend around. And I mean, I've found in my business, and like you guys, or like you, Kate, I worked hard and I have this kind of, this incredible story, but I really genuinely had built a business from the ground up that was making over $1 million by the time I was 30 years old. And, to some people, I know they're doing it at 23, and that's cool. But I did it. It's for me, and everything I went through, being homeless at 14 and all the struggles I had gone through, that was a huge thing to accomplish. But it didn't come with the challenges and those dark moments where you're kind of questioning, why am I doing this? Why, this is just a tough day. So in those dark moments for you, aside from the camaraderie, what was it inside you that says, I'm not giving up, I'm pushing forward, I'm going to find a way out of this?
Yeah, I think Looking back, I feel really bad of telling my staff that you don't have a job. I know they're relying on me, sending their kids to school, and I just can't. I just can't do that. I just can't do that to my employee who they gave their blood and sweat in building those companies. So that was really my inspiration. And I think to kind of, after that 90 days, I was like, I know it's very hard, but I need to get through it. I think for me, it was more of the employee that I feel bad not being able to send their kids to school. That was my motivation right there. That was my drive. And that's how I went through it.
That's incredible.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, just watching her and Kate, and I think a lot of people, what happens, your business outpaces your personal growth, which I think is very common. So your business continues to grow, but unless you are doing something to drive your personal growth, it almost outpaces you. And then what happens is you just don't know what to do.
Right.
So if you don't have somebody, like I was talking about the advisory board, if you don't have people that you could call during those challenges, honestly, what do? You just make it up as you go along. Like, jumping out of the airplane and building the parachute. The only problem is with that, when those challenges arise, it could, make or break you in that moment. Like Kate said, a lot of people have to file bankruptcy, close, because they don't have that, because their business really outpaces them. Because as you know, there's so much complexities within your business, leadership. I mean, there's so many things, and you're just one person. And so until you really have people that can manage and do a lot of things, you're doing all of it. So it's really, really difficult, especially as you're ramping up to that $1 million mark. You really need to have some knowledge. You need to have people. You need to develop yourself as your business so your business doesn't outpace you.
Do you feel like that's a missing component that a lot of people like that's why you guys are doing the mastermind, and that's why you guys are doing this on Clubhouse? I know personally you guys have seen so many people struggle over this past year. So do you think that's really why, when we look at why are some of those businesses failing? Because when they do grow and it outpaces, they're just not taking time to understand how critical that is?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you're growing so much too fast, too soon, and your mindset and your knowledge just can't keep up, and embracing that growth. And that is scary, and it's just not sustainable. And that's definitely what happened to me. I mean, it was growing so fast, and I still had the same team when I was running under $1 million. So it just basically ate me alive. So as you grow and scale, you have to make sure your team and you yourself are in the same mindset to come up with that growth. I mean, it's so important, or else it's just gonna fail. It's just not sustainable.
On top of that, I feel like when you do that, then you can also become the biggest bottleneck for your company, right? Like if you're the one who holds all the knowledge and you're the one who's the best at everything, then you become the bottleneck. So yeah, go ahead, Kate.
Yeah, when you're in that stage, that is when it's so important. You need to have a mentor that can really guide you, because you don't have an answer at that point, right? You've already excelled. I mean, you're at the top of what you know. That's when the mastermind, hiring the top mentor that really has done it, especially in your industry, that is so crucial. And a lot of us, I have to say, I was very close-minded of hiring a coach or the right mentor, because I don't want to spend his money because maybe I can Google this stuff. Well, the stuff of you're paying to pay for that mentorship, it costing you so much money, losing money because you don't have the right advisor or the right mentor. So you have to think that personal growth as the number one expense, just like you hiring the best agency to run your marketing ads. You have to upgrade your brain, just like you're constantly pivoting your marketing strategy. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Dan, if I want to lose weight or get in shape, I'm going to hire a trainer and a nutritionist, right? So talk to us about why mentorship. I love that you brought this up, because when we talk about tips, people should really be notating on how do I not fail Too many people, for whatever reason, do not understand the value in a coach or an accountability person, but they have to know where you're trying to go and how to get you there. And that's where I love the concept of mentorship. Talk to us about why mentorship is so important for entrepreneurs.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just like you're mentioning, you only know what you know. You need somebody that's been through. And I think you could hire a teacher who's never actually been through something, but has knowledge through books. Then you can hire someone who's done everything wrong. I think that person is going to help you more. Because when you've done things and you've done it and you've been through the challenge, like Kate said, it's not always just about how do you get out of something or how do you do something. It's also the mindset, because literally, like Kate mentioned, when everything collapsed in 2018, it was her mind that basically shut down. You know, she could do something else, but if you don't have somebody that can walk you through, that's been through it, that can tell you exactly, this isn't not only, this is what I actually did, but also this is how I dealt with the feelings, how I dealt with the emotions. I think it's one of the best things that you can do, because we see it all the time. There's never a business that you're going to do where you're not going to have challenges. Like Kate mentioned, you're going to have months where you make zero money. Sometimes you're hustling and all of a sudden, boom, you make money. And some people that we know, they make, 1 month covers their 12 months because they're working on big contracts. But 6 months out of the year, they make zero money. I mean, that is really, I think that's where a lot of times entrepreneurship is not for people. I think it's the mental game. And that's where I think people struggle. So having that mentor, it doesn't matter if you sign up for a mastermind, if you get a mentor, if you get a coach, you have to get something. You have to be around people, because those are going to be the ones that are going to, and it's the time when you're in that down is when it's absolutely crucial. You can learn marketing, you can learn how to do that stuff, you can learn how to sell, but it's the feelings, it's the emotions when you hit those road bumps, I think are the absolute most crucial time.
Yeah. So you guys are, and I love that you said that, by the way, before I move to my next thought. Like, I appreciate that from Larry Namer. I have to give him my shout out. He's always there. You guys know he's always showing up. But I want to only bring that up because as a mentor, I'm very fortunate. And I say that as an example. Like, he co-founded the E-Network, E-Entertainment. So here I am with Unsugarcoated Media. Of course, I want a mentor who, when things go wrong, or I'm like, what should I do? To your point, exactly. It makes such a difference, and it saves me so much time because I know I'm going to the right source. I'm going to the well, and I'm going to get water out of it, not because it's empty, but because I went to the right place. Going back to personal branding. Okay, personal branding is huge for businesses. I didn't realize I was doing it long before, and I talk about like where I really just tell people or let people focus on my abilities as opposed to maybe what projects I'm doing. So when I owned Metro PCS stores or I worked in music, like ultimately I built a brand for people to know I'm just good at business. I get into projects that, hopefully and usually pan out to be good because I have this, I have a business background. For you, Kate and Dan, as you build your personal brand and you're serving this community on Clubhouse, what is the most important part to you that people understand about what you guys represent in your story?
Wow, that's a big question. I think people can see that we're very genuine. I think that's one thing. Like, especially when you're building your personal brand, is you gotta stay who you are. And people can see that through you. And that is my one advice if you're planning to build on your personal brand, because people, especially through a voice app, right, you can just tell who's faking it and who's not, who's an expert and who's not. I think for me, being genuine about all my storytelling, which I've been utilized the last 5 years, I think that's what works for me as far as building my personal brand. That really elevates whether my personal brand or the companies I built. I utilize the storytelling technique a lot. That works for me.
Yeah. Dan, how does that contribute to what you're doing in the media space right now? Because you're also helping other people with their personal brands, tell their stories. How does the personal brand play into what you do now?
Yeah, I think what's really inspired me over the years is a lot of the media consisted of the same people I know we were talking about, you go to a speaking event, it's the same people, just like you watch on TV, it's the same people. And one thing I really enjoyed about is I really started with Kate and working the PR with Kate for many years in the businesses. There is a gap between there's so many amazing people, but they're just not getting the exposure, as you know, right? You're the Oprah of unsugar-coated media, so you know how it is when you bring someone who normally doesn't get exposure, when you bring them to the light, it's such an incredible feeling, and that's where I feel gratitude. I don't need to be an expert in business. I don't need to be the go-to. What I really like to do is I like people who should be the go-to, should be the expert because they are, but they're just not known. I want to get them on the stages, and that's really what we focus on. When you search somebody's name or you search something, I want them to come up. Not only just them, but all the great things that they're doing. And that's why, I've loved Clubhouse, and I love, the media and just getting people the exposure that they have. That's why we're working with a TV show now. We're even looking at, possible way with books. So I think there's so many incredible people with amazing, inspiring stories that millions of people need to be hearing. They need to see, they need to be listening to. They just don't understand how to get in front of those people. And that's really my focus.
That's incredible. I love that you guys are doing that. You brought up the conferences, and that's one thing that Clubhouse has done is it's been able to allow networking for a lot of people who otherwise cannot. So how do you guys see, and I know I mentioned it, I met you guys in Vegas. You hosted an amazing, beautiful, elegant dinner for entrepreneurs like myself. You did it in New York. You did it again recently at Spago here in Beverly Hills. What do you guys see as the networking future for people right now in business? Like just with the pandemic still gotten people, how do you see networking right now for the business minded people out there that want to gain this knowledge?
I think it's what I'm seeing the trend right now is it's such a smaller curated group, like a group of less than 30 is the trend. And I think people don't want to waste their time. So they want to know who's coming in, and they want to filter who's the right person. So that will bring an amazing experience to everyone. I think the networking is not like just the speed dating of what we used to do before COVID. I think now people are really careful of who's they're going to bringing into that curated dinner, because again, life is too short. First of all, you wanted to make sure it is an impactful dinner to everyone. So that's the reason why it's important for you to be out there and build your personal brand so people know who you are, or else you can't make it to the best dinner, right? So I think it's a smaller group of curated people that are the right, tribe for and the right vibe for that networking. I think that's what a lot of people are doing right now.
Yeah. Dan, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think people used to say, I'm going to go to this conference, or, the marketing of this conference is there's going to be 1,000 people there, 1,000. But the reality is it's very uncomfortable. I know I'm always very uncomfortable in large situations. I think there's a lot of people that are. I think it used to be, I'm going to pay a lot more money because I want to be in front of, 5,000 people. But the reality is you meet one. And even then, it's very uncomfortable. It's just it's like too much stimulation. There's too many people. So I think Kate hit it right there. When you sit down for dinner at a table with 10 people, you build an incredible bond and relationship. And that's what a great thing that Kate does is she knows how to put people next to each other where they're going to benefit. And that's why we're seeing so much success from these dinners. And not even just our dinners, just this type of environment, I think, is the future, where you're curated. So you're with the right people on purpose. You're next to the right people on purpose. Mm-hmm. And you really, really build that bond because you get to spend a few hours versus trying to meet, like she said, the speed dating. You meet 100 people, but the reality is you don't really get to build the connection, and you go home and you never talk to them again.
It's so true, so true. It reminds me of whenever I've gone into like Burlington Coat Factory and suddenly I'm overwhelmed. I'm like, there's too much, and then you just walk out because you're like, it's too many. I completely relate to that. So in going back to Kate, I do not want to miss the part to say, for our listening audience and the ones who can't see your beautiful face, but we did mention you're Filipina. You are a woman that represents not just the female in business, the minority or a woman of color. You have, there's a large part of society saying, who are you to think that you can do these things? How do you feel about that?
I just never think of my color at all. I think I've as early as 10, I know I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be working for someone else. I don't want someone to control my time when I can take a break and not. So that was really my driving force, but I don't see myself as Filipino, or because I'm this color, then I should do X, Y, and Z. I see myself as a fair to a lot of people, and I think that really helps me a lot because I have zero fear. I'll take the risk. I don't see myself as Filipina. I see myself as equal to men, whether they're brown, white, or tall, or handsome, or not good looking. I that's what I love about America. It's a fair game, and whoever gonna work hard will last the longest and will be successful. So I have to say I'm forever grateful for this country, and I will never get that opportunity in the Philippines because of the class system that we have to go through. I mean, my first job, my manager asked me if I know how to use calculator or if I know how to speak English. Now, would I take it personally? Maybe the first 5 minutes, but I just laugh about it because, hey, I am here in America. I have this job of $7.50. I'm happy selling cosmetics. I don't know what my future is, but I'm just going to work hard. And I keep on beating her with her numbers. She might not like me because I'm so gutsy, but that's all what it takes. I think being nice to whoever your boss will give you a chance to level up. And I think that's the rule of the game.
Well, I love it that you don't see color, but I love that still to some young little girl, Filipina or any other, can look at you and say, wow, if she did it, then maybe I can too. And ultimately, I feel like that is a lot of what you spend your time doing, inspiring, like you said, other entrepreneurs. Now, there's the beginning, there's the mid, and then there's the already beyond successful. Which is your favorite group to work with?
I really love to work under $1 million, but a minimum of 250 grand in revenue. Why? Because they already know how it is being a startup. They're already up there. You just need to help them scale to the next level.
Mm-hmm. Dan?
So that is the kind of level that I would want to work.
Dan, who's your favorite group to work with?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with Kate. Startup's hard. Startup is hard, right? You got to get through that phase first. There's only so much you can do, but it's like a proven concept. Like at that point, 250K, you've proven the concept, and now it's how do you get to the next level? So I agree with Kate. It's but at the same time, I also enjoy working with people that are very successful. Maybe they have $30-40 million companies, but nobody knows who the heck they are. Because I feel like it's, they need the exposure. So I guess it's a twofold.
It is for sure. I had a question in my head and then it literally just went out. But it was funny because the way that I've seen you guys operate, it's been nothing but fantastic, humility, great culture. What's next? You guys are doing some amazing things with TV. You have the mastermind. What's next for WMB Club? Wait. Tell that, and then I remembered it. But yeah, go ahead. I remembered. I'm gonna write it down.
So I would love to curate more dinners. I think that's my favorite. Alia, I mean, why not? Can we explore a better restaurants or somewhere secret? I think I'm gonna do it a secret location next time because I don't want people to show up and
avoid the crashers.
So I'll just put it a secret place because then it's even more special. But I really love curating those dinners. Maybe I was even thinking of maybe we can do an activity of how to learn to fly in space, or maybe do like Navy SEAL, something like really extraordinary that you can't just do by buying Groupon, experience, like something very unique and once in a lifetime experience. Those are my goal, and I love doing it. So I don't really feel like I'm working. So if I could put this together and help people to met that someone who can fund their business or be the next best friend that can elevate their business or their mindset, that's my favorite. That would be an ideal.
I love that. And I'll just be flying around the country in the world because we're going to try and do London before the end of the year. We're putting that out into the universe to anybody in London. But I remember my question, because there is two things, and I know that, Kate, you can speak to either of these. And I'm taking an extra minute or two simply because we had to re-record this. So I don't mind going over just a little bit, audience. But this is a very true question. Sometimes people, to your point, Dan's point, starting a business from the ground up, it's hard. So why is sometimes acquisitions of business another thing that people should be looking at if you're interested in getting into business?
Well, I mean, startup is hard. 90% startup fail. That's the statistics, Dan. But if you are acquiring an existing business, like for example, that $250,000 revenue a year, you're already acquiring an existing business that has a process, that has an existing customer. It has already the system in place. It's just easier for you to flip it, make it a better business. And maybe then if you don't want to keep it as a legacy business, then you can exit and you make more money than just building, a startup or just one business. So you can it's just like buying a house. You flip it and then do it again. It's the same concept. And you just make better money doing that than building your house from the ground up. So just think about it.
Yeah, agreed. And Dan, I have a question to follow that up with, if you might. Like, is it as hard as people think to go? Because I remember we used to do that. We'd go on Craigslist and look for businesses looking to sell, and you do your due diligence. But I mean, is it as hard as some people think?
Yeah, I mean, I'd divert to Kate on that one.
Yeah, it's hard. Remember, the best business are not for sale, right? So it is hard. I think any business that out there that's are for sale, probably not the best business. That's always what happened, right? So I think the key is for you to look for, maybe do a research from your friends and family someone who's retiring. It could be a bookkeeping company that's been there for 20 years, but they don't know how to scale that business, but they have 20 years of clientele that you can extract and upsell or maybe buy. I mean, those people that wanted to retire and they don't know who's gonna taking over the business. So those are the best business to look after.
And that's go ahead.
Yeah, or maybe something that a business that doesn't innovate all the time, like for example, a laundromat business where you don't need a person that can run it and look at their figures, and if it's profitable above 20%, hey, that's way better than you starting a business. Why would you work harder if you can buy a business that just, you don't have to hire a person that can run it, just automate? Those are the kind of business that are so attractive, especially at this time. And you can utilize taking SBA loan if you have good credit. There's a lot of programs out there with very little interest, and they're very, they're very forgiving about a lot of things. So this is the best time for you to acquire businesses, no doubt about it.
I love that. And if they want to know how to do it well, they just sign up for your mastermind, right?
Yes, that's something that you can learn some of the strategy, but there's another expert person who's my favorite person, Roland Fraser. He's definitely, I have to give him that. He was the one that really changed my mindset since 2020 of last year, April, when I joined his mastermind. I mean, again, you have to look for the person who's done it. It's like, when you hire a coach that has not done a business, what will happen is if you'll ask them a strategy, they'll say, I'll get back to you in this, because they don't really have an answer. But if you have a coach that has done it, built several businesses, know how to flip, they will have an answer to you right away. So
absolutely,
be watchful when you hire that mentor or coach.
Yeah, that's why that due diligence is important, qualifying the people you're taking information from. So Dan, really quick on your end, tell us, where can people get more information on the mastermind or just find you guys on Clubhouse and social media? How do they get in touch with you and Kate?
Yeah, so WMBmastermind.com. You can check us out. Kate is official Kate Hancock, katehancock.com as well. I'm somewhere in there too. So if you go to there, that's the easiest way you can get in touch with both of us. So katehancock.com, WMB, that's what it takes, $1 million business. It's kind of a long one, but WMBmastermind.com. That's why we shortened it.
There you go.
Which, on that, quick question, because, you know, people always like, okay, so you guys just jumped on the Clubhouse and you made the name. Is there any hindsight 2020 on that? I mean, do you guys like feel at all like we should have gone with a shorter name? Or I mean, like, you know, you guys are kind of just living in the moment. Like, tell me, be honest and be unsugarcoated. Like, you know, these are some of those things we learn, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm still debating, to be honest, about the WMB, because it's like, what does that stand for? Well, it sounds like women, man, business or whatever, right? But it's shortcut for what it takes to run $1 million business. But I want it to be a little bit different. I would want it to be, be part of a badass mastermind. That's the kind of name. Then it goes, you know, I think it can go global. It could attract a different audience. And I think I'm still thinking of changing. Hey, that's why I'm the pivot queen.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, one thing to add to that, Kate is really good with names that way. It's kind of funny. This is not the first time this has happened. She's like, some people take like a year to come up with a name. Like, they can't start a business literally because they can't think of the name. Kate has, like, in 5 minutes she'll have a name and she's already moved forward. But then like 3 years later, we're like, wait a minute, should we change that name? We've actually changed names before, but it's great because at least you move. I mean, the name is such a small part of it,
right,
that doesn't really matter in the end. You like so many names. We have Amazon. Like, what the heck is Amazon? Like, there's so many names that Google, like, what does it even mean, or what's the, you know, I think they make up a story later on as to how it's relevant. But yeah, so it's kind of funny you bring that up.
But you guys,
yeah, but it's always good to change the name early on. Then you don't have to change your website, your merchandise. So I'm thinking of changing it to Badass Mastermind. I
Put it on a hat and see how it looks.
Yeah, you know what? Put it on a hat or a T-shirt, right? No, I agree. And, you know, that's part of business. Sometimes you just run and you later on. I mean, I feel like business is a little bit by football. And I know it's probably funny. I'm a chick using a sports analogy. But, you know, you're in the huddle. You're like, okay, go, go, go. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, let's do it again. Huddle back up and do it again. Ultimately, business is about driving an idea forward. And I'm so thankful to know that you guys are not only, and I mean, I'm speaking from, this is me to the audience, you guys. Like, I'm vouching for them. There's the real and there's the fake, but we don't have fake. We got unsugarcoated and we got real as you can get out of here. And I'm just excited to see what you guys continue to do and how you guys are doing it. Because that's the thing. People will follow you no matter what if your brand is strong enough, right? Yeah. Thank you guys so much for being here today with me. I appreciate you. And I know take 2 is going to be gold.
Thank you so much. This is so much fun. Thank you.
You guys are both amazing and I appreciate you. And I will definitely be seeing you guys soon. To everybody else at home, I just want to say thank you for being with us. Thank you for listening to this conversation, which is I know it inspired you. So please don't forget to share, comment, and spread the word on the amazing things that are happening here on your favorite Social Good podcast. And until next time, you know, thank you for letting us be unsugarcoated. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Whether it's absolute silence or lo-fi beats, you have a work style all your own. And Best Buy tech experts can help you get the right tech for you. Available online, in-store, or in your home. Work for you space achieved. Details at bestbuy.com.